Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, National Parts Depot and Penrite Oil. Hello and welcome to another sensational episode of Classic Restos. Of course not possible without the continued support of Shannons Insurance, National Parts Depot and Penrite Oil. Shannons Insurance, they have just so much to offer us as enthusiasts. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote on 134646. You can also visit Shannons online where there's competitions, promotions and an opportunity for you to sign up to become a member of the Shannons Club. Check them out soon at shannons.com.au. National Parts Depot, based in the United States of America, is also an integral part of Classic Restos as a major sponsor. When it comes time to rebuild your classic GM or Ford-built vehicle, National Parts Depot have a 3 million parts inventory to assist you. And what's really cool is that they ship to Australia and New Zealand every day of the week. Find out more online at npdlink.com. And how beautiful is this? 350 Chev, 2 4-barrel carbs. Doesn't matter what engine you have, Penrite has an oil for you. If you're not too sure about the grade of oil that you should be using in your particular type of engine, why not take advantage of the tech line at Penrite? Penrite is also an Australian-owned company. They've been established since 1926. Family-owned business and Australian-owned. It's a nice touch these days. Find out more at penriteoil.com. And on today's show, I have travelled to Engadine, just south of Sydney here in New South Wales, to not just a car event, but to a car event that is out to spread the words road safety. Welcome to the Sutho Cops and Rodders event for 2013. Now, you've already heard the words road safety and cops. Well, this event is amazing. It's put on by a handful of our dedicated guys and girls in blue. They support our classic vehicle fraternity, and what better way is there than this to promote awareness for helping to reduce road trauma and to enforce safe driving through display exhibits. More than 20,000 people are expected to visit here today to this third annual road safety and car show display. This event last year raised more than $20,000 for the St George Hospital Trauma Unit just south of Sydney. And in the mix, it's all helping to educate drivers about road safety along the way. With me now we have Senior Constable Dave Hayes, organiser of this fantastic event. How are you, Dave?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Fletch.
Mate, you've done it again. Got to take my hat off to you. 400 cars. It's your third year. What do we say?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's unfortunately the weather's not on our side so far, but as you can see, the cars are slowly filling up, and it's going to be a great day.
Dave, love what you guys do. It's just a handful of cops that support the classic car fraternity, but the underlying message is very important. Share that with us.
Yeah, the aim of today is about road safety. Just to display the effects that road trauma has on family and friends and the community alike, and that's why we've got so many organisations involved, just to demonstrate the impact that road trauma has, and just to promote safer driving.
We don't have to go into detail as to the types of situations that you guys on the job see on a regular basis.
Definitely not. It's devastating to deal with some of the incidents that we see, especially when it comes to motor vehicle collisions.
It just means so much to take it easy, pay attention, abide by the rules, and just behave yourself on the road.
Oh, exactly. Road rules are there for a reason. It's all about safety.
Dave, last year a lot of money raised for the trauma unit, St George Hospital. That's fantastic.
Yeah, last year we were lucky enough to raise just over $20,000, and we gave it to St George Hospital Trauma Unit. This year all funds raised goes to CareFlight. Yep. So we're putting back into the road trauma.
Yeah. How good is it? It's just so good. Dave, let you get back to it. The cars are rolling in, mate. It's great to catch up with you again, and no doubt see you throughout the day.
No worries, likewise, and thanks a lot, Fletch, for your support. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, mate.
Thanks.
You know, the cops are just trying to do their job, and in most cases, it's a job that I wouldn't choose to take on. I take my hat off to them all. What these guys see on a regular basis on our roads is stuff that you and I would never want to see. Supporting a classic car show, plus trying to show us the importance of safety on our roads. What a combination. And the recipe is pretty simple. Behave yourself out there on the roads, abide by the road rules, and you'll never have a problem with these guys. TV show Classic Restos, of course, features cars that have been restored, but I also like to give credit where credit is due to the cars that have been left original. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars. The way times are, if you can afford a classic car like this and it's reliable, you can drive it and leave it be. Cars like this are actually getting accolades now for being left original. This 63 Valiant, have a look at it. Original paint, original interior. What people are doing is getting these old cars, making sure the cooling system's right, making sure the engine's running right, giving it a good set of brakes and making sure that they stop you in time and driving the car. I'm sure you'll agree that when you look at something like this, as archaic as it is, it's a pretty cool prospect to have in your driveway. This is a 63 Val. There's another car over here worth taking a look at. Have a look at this, 1971 HG panel van. This car is an original car. Is it a score or what? The interior is original, the seat you have to see to believe. The paint, it's had a lick of paint a while ago. Bit of house paint. Over the other side there's a run in the paint there. The person that painted the car wanted to tidy it up a little bit. But in all its entirety, we're looking at a classic 1971 Holden. These cars still are available. Don't give up yet in your quest of finding your classic car. But I guess the purpose of this segment is, when you get one, if it's half decent, you can always leave it the way it is. Moving through the Sutho Cops and Rodders event for 2013, time for Joe. How are you, Joe?
Good, how are you, Fletch?
Good, mate, good. It's good to see you too, even under these conditions. Hey, we can control a lot of things, but not the weather, right?
No, absolutely not. We can't control the weather.
Mate, it's good of you to bring out your 73 Cuda. Beautiful car.
Thank you. It is not a bad example of the Plymouth.
Tell us a story on it.
Basically, 1973, originally a 4-speed 318. It's got a 340 in it now, and we've confirmed that it is a 340.
That's a good score.
Yes, it is, and it's a Core 1, which is a 1970 block.
Yep.
So it's a very good motor.
Yep. 340's interesting engine. They were very, very revvy. They had a bigger bore than 101.6 millimetres, which technically made them a big block. The colour in its entirety looks beautiful. The side stripes, it's all nice.
Yeah.
How's it go as a car, Joe? Drives nice?
Very nice indeed. It picks up speed very well. So I'd say that the 340s had a little bit of work done to it.
Yep.
And the wheels, it used to have a set of Pro Stars on it, but it didn't really look the part. So I got the original rallies on it and the radial tyres, and it makes it look the part now.
Now, Joe, you're no stranger to performance. You've also brought your drag car along, the Big Bad Charger. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the Big Bad Charger is sitting right next to it. It's got the 440 in it. It's had a lot of work done to it, of course. Came from the States, basically set up the way you see it today. I've detuned it a little bit for the street because it was a bit too radical.
Tyres out back, mate. I don't think they're wide enough.
No, they're only 33 by 19.5 inch. So I might be able to get a couple more inches, but that's plenty.
They're an awesome shape. I mean, they look aggressive and cranky sitting still. I mean, even when they're not in drag mode.
Yes, they sure do. This particular one, of course, they have bellied out the rear guards to sit the tyres underneath, and they've elongated the opening too. I've noticed that when it was sitting next to another Charger, so they have actually opened it up a little bit. That
first shape too, traditionally beginning in 1968 in America too, is actually the body style that actually helped to save Dodge. It was one of the sexier shapes, if you would, that they even referred to themselves, that helped save the company. Joe, great catching up with you, mate. Thanks for coming out in these weather conditions, and
hopefully the weather will clear up for us.
And hats off again to Senior Constable Dave Hayes and his team for putting on an awesome event here at Engadine.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome, yes.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you're really enjoying the 2013 Sutho Cops and Rodders event on this week's episode of Classic Restos. Of course, thanks to my major sponsors. For the best in insurance, parts, oils and coolants, go to classicrestos.com.au for more information. Back with more after this. All right, time for a Tirana on Classic Restos, a 1972 LJ. Grant, welcome to today's show.
How are you, Fletch? Good to be here.
Yes, mate. Yeah, you enjoying yourself?
Absolutely getting washed out. 3 kids in the car. They're fogging it up really well.
You know what I love about today so far? No one is leaving. Although the weather has turned as wet as it has, everybody's hanging in there, which is great.
Yes, it is. It's a great turnout today. It's really good to be here.
Look, at the end of the day, it's only water. I mean, everyone's out with their cars, and it just changes the pace a bit of the day, doesn't it?
It does. It does indeed, yeah. No,
Grant, the Tirana looks beautiful here on the paddock. It really does. It's such a smart-looking car. You've restored it. Give us a quick rundown on what you've done.
So a 72 Brisbane-built GDR, which I got, was a bit of a bit of a mess. So it's had a full Resto underneath, around, and all the rest of it. So it's nice to get it here. It came out at Tirana Fest, and so this is sort of its second car show, but it's a lovely colour, and that's what I love about the car. So.
I mean, it's nice to see the water beating on these cars today too. I mean, it's all nice and polished. There's something about, I don't mind that look of the water beating on the paint. Beautiful job. Now, the car itself, power to weight ratio, these were quite a quick car. I mean, fairly light. They were by no means heavy.
No, that's correct, but it's not a good day to be driving them out on the road today. But look, it's amazing how much power they get out of those little 6 cylinders and the rest of it. So it's a great little car to have a bit of fun in and that.
Let's have a quick talk on that. We've got a 202 with triples. Well done.
Yep, 202 with triples. It's got the usual type of Starfire rods and the rest of it. So. It's a great little motor, and it's been put together, and it does what it needs to do when it has to happen.
I bet it sings.
It does. Yeah, it does indeed. So
there's nothing like the sound of triples when they're just a WOT, wide open throttle. They just sound so good, don't they?
They do. They do indeed. So that gets enough fuel in there. But yeah.
All right, Green Grant, we're going to let you go, buddy. Otherwise, it's going to turn into the Grant half hour here today. So, mate, thanks again for coming along.
No problems at all. Thanks, Fletch. Thanks for your time.
Well, the Classic Restos Facebook site is very active. This guy here came up and said, Fletch, he said, I liked your Facebook page. By the way, that is facebook.com/Classic Restos TV. Chris, welcome to the show.
G'day, Mark. How are you?
Mark?
Oh, yes, Mark.
It sounds like I'm in trouble.
There's Mark. G'day, Mark. How are you?
Good, thanks, Chris.
Have you got some tours happening as well?
Yes, I do. The Fletch Tours, USA 2014. Thank you for asking, Chris. He's a bundle of information, this guy. Carlisle, GM, Ford and Chrysler and Detroit. 4 tour opportunities happening in 2014 with Fletch. Go to classicrestos.com.au for more information. You'll see a Fletch Tours icon there. Click on that for more information. Now, Chris, are we going to get to talk about your car?
Oh, yeah, why not? It's a black A9X. I've had this car for nearly 28 years. And
so it's only a recent addition?
Yeah, it's only recent, correct. And the story with the car is I've owned it for that long. I bought it when I was a kid, didn't really care about what the car was. It had a lot of history. Didn't know the history of the car, of course. And only a couple of years ago, we found out some secret numbers in the car, and we lined them up with cams, and then cams found out that there was a Graham Smelt black A9X Tirana. So, yep, I've reunited the driver with the car, of course.
What a score. This is sensational. I mean, just let's rewind a bit. You did well buying this type of car when you were a kid, as it was, but then to find out later down the track all these bonuses.
Correct. Yeah, it was a good buzz for me too.
Have you had to do much to it over that time, Chris?
Not really, no. I've just kept it really basic. I've got all the original running gear at home. I've been street driving it for like a long time, and I like to drive it on the streets and go camping with it and drags and racing.
Good for you.
I like to get it out there.
Yeah, camping with it?
Yeah, I do camping with it. Yeah.
Take it through the bush and stuff?
We do that. I've done that with the car, but not now. Now that I've found the history of the car, I'm sort of taking it a little bit easier with the car.
Speaking of which, remember the hatchbacks? They had the tent as the option out the back, right?
We just slept in it a few weeks ago at the Tirana Fest, so we did all right. We took our Barbies and our beers and eskies and our sleeping gear, and we did well. It was all right.
Mate, the Australian lifestyle of the beer and the barbecues, travelling around in our classic cars, it really doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, Mark. It's fantastic. It's all good. And I'm glad you made an effort for coming out in the rain today. It's a terrible day, but...
Least of my worries, least we can do. TV show, Classic Restos, must continue under all conditions.
Correct.
All right. Good on you, Chris. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Good on you.
You're a good guy. He's a nice fella.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on today's show.
Likewise. Thank you, Mark. Good on you.
Let me go and do some work.
Okay.
Bye.
Likewise. No, you're kidding. Thank you very much, Steve. Thanks a lot. That was good. This A9X is a fully documented vehicle. It's insured with Shannons and uses Penrite oil.
Moving through the show now, we have Dave with the 71XY. Not just a 71XY, it's an ex-highway patrol car. How are you, Dave?
Not bad.
That's fine. Now, you were a cop on the job back in the early 70s and drove this particular car, right?
One like it.
Yeah. Tell us, what was that like back then?
As a 23-year-old, I thought it was lovely.
I've heard stories over the years, Dave, that these particular cars were GT running gear all the way through. Is that true?
That's true, yeah.
So miles an hour, what were they capable of doing?
150.
What part of highway did you used to work back in those times?
Well, those at Milson's Point, which is under the approach to the Harbour Bridge, and we did all the there was about 200 fellas there, and we did the whole of the Sydney metropolitan area as it was then. We also they give us particular areas to patrol, and one of them was Pacific Highway from North Sydney to Mount White.
And that's where you reached some big speeds.
That's where we got some good ones, yeah.
It must have been an awesome era. Like, how did you feel as a young bloke back then, as a police officer, in one of these cars, obviously the same era as Bathurst, the GTHOs, and here you were driving virtually the same car, but in police trim?
Well, it was very interesting, but the driver training that you undertook before they'd leave and let you near one of those was very intense, and which was done up at St Ives Driver Training School on Monavale Road. And they had the track was cambered the wrong way. And they had skid pans and vehicle manoeuvring areas, and that's what you run around in those.
Yeah, like I said earlier today's show, I take my hat off to all the police officers and the sort of work they have to do. Dave, thanks for your time. Great catching up, and it's good to speak to a loyal once-was police officer with one of these sensational cars.
You're welcome, Fletch.
Good on you. Well, if you like classic Restos as much as I do, the DVD box sets, along with other classic Restos merchandise, can be found at classicrestos.com.au. Now, while you're there, how about picturing yourself experiencing a Fletch tour to the USA in 2014? And find out how my major sponsors can help you as well. It's all there at classicrestos.com.au. Back with more in just a moment. Time for Tony now with the big truncheon. How are you, Tony?
Hello, Fletch. How are you today?
I'm good. Yourself?
Pity about the weather, unfortunately, this weekend. It's a little bit overcast, but
What are you doing to us? You brought the rain on.
Well, unfortunately, we couldn't help that. It's God's country here, so we haven't got much control over it.
Tony, tell us about the sensational XC High Patrol car. Got a bit of a soft spot for these. I can remember these cars. They were beautiful in the 5.8 trim, Fairmont GXL interior.
Yeah, that's them. The good thing about this one, this car is originally, obviously it's an XC Falcon, 77 model, was taken out from Canterbury Highway Patrol, so its call sign was 1345, and on the actual radio it's still got the call sign, and everything in the car is originally from what it was, from when we took it from Canterbury Highway Patrol, took it back to Glebe to the Government Motor Garage. We kept it there for a couple of years, and then we obviously preserved the vehicle. And the reason I'm doing that is having the defect notices, the digital radar, everything in the car with the old third-month registration, which a lot of the guys that know yourself, Fletch, used to see a car with a third-month rego. You knew it was a police car, so you closed the eyes and kept the head still. Yeah. So it's those sort of things which sort of make us, remember what we were doing 25 years ago as a kid.
Tony, these cars, 351 Clevelands, 780 Thermoquad carbs, I mean, were they fairly stock standard back then?
They were, and of course, anything coming through Ford, they'd pass on to the Highway Patrol to have them so catch all the hoons in those days. You obviously had the Tiranas, the Minis and XU1s and the A9Xs and the SLR, so there was a bit of competition for Holden and Ford, so Ford were re-pushing the Dominator to try and catch up with the hoons.
Tony, in the country areas, the Fords were big, like working the Hume?
Yeah, that's right, and popular, if anyone remembers back in those days too, going up and down the Hume Highway, going towards Goulburn where the academy was, you'd see them sitting on the side of the road, even the two-door Falcons too, these and the four-doors are always sitting the perch on the side of the road or on the centre of the road with some bloke like me standing there with a leather hat waiting to catch someone in, and we'd all jump on the brakes and they'd see the brake lights come on. There was the biggest giveaway, which we used to always tell everyone, but it's part of growing up. And the good thing about this car is you drive, we're happy to drive around. We obviously have the commission officers with us sometimes, and the good thing about it is that people actually see the cars and they remember they're either their uncle or themselves or their father driving the same type of vehicle, and the type of policing and the way the police were back in those days.
These were good cars too. I mean, by the time we got to the late 70s, we were coming up with cars that handled fairly well, they stopped fairly well. XC just prior to XD, the cars started becoming quite drivable, didn't they?
That's right, and then obviously the famous XD when that first came out, the old box shape, and then the air cleaner turned upside down. But I have to admit, this one's got the air cleaner upside down too, so you give a bit of a warp, and everyone knows that in the old car industry.
The sad part about it is we've got a very serious side to our hobby, and as much as we like driving our cars, that's what this show here today is trying to represent, creating awareness for trauma, road safety, and might I just say in ending this interview, what you guys do can't put words to that. You do a fantastic job.
Yeah, and it's good, and also having the public involved, because trying to get the message across with, with the enforcement of tickets and radar and everything else. But when you're here with people themselves, where you can talk on a very level ground, and guys come up and ask questions all the time with the police here, and they're very welcome to open mouths and talk, and it's a real icebreaker. It really makes a difference, because the only other time you see the police, unfortunately, is on the side of the road or when they're doing their job, and it's not that time to sort of pull up and talk. But here's an opportunity where you're here for the 9 hours of the day, and everyone's on an open equal slatter, and it's good, Fletch.
But you guys are just doing your job. I mean, and behind the scenes on weekends, look, they're here supporting classic cars. I mean, that's what it's all about. Tony, thank you so much for your time. Great catching up again, mate.
Fletch, good to see you again after last year.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Well done, thank you. Isn't it great to come to a day like this and see an original car such as this GTS Monaro? Weren't they awesome in their day? And having an original number plate, this car had plenty of kick. What a sensational event. Last year we had the honour of interviewing Jim Richards. This year we got Steve Richards. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, great, Fletch. Going well.
That's the way, mate. Before we start talking car stuff, tell us about your thoughts on this year's event here at Engadine.
Oh, it's great. You know, there's plenty of cars. Pity about the rain this morning, but you know, can't do much about that. Yeah. But you know, the guys were saying last year it attracted 500 cars to the event. That's unbelievable.
Well, being its third year, I mean, Dave Hayes and a group of cops here do an incredible job. I mean, all these car shows, they take a year of preparation to get rolling. So, I mean, you know, third year, great results. Now, Steve, 2013, a win at Bathurst. Tell us, what is that like?
Yeah, well, you know, clearly it's the biggest trophy in the cabinet to win. So if you're lucky enough to get over the line, and we were this year, it's fantastic.
Just give us a quick rundown on what are those cars like to drive? The feeling of conquering the mountain.
Well, I don't know how to describe that. I mean, it's the cars are made to do a job. They're made to go for 1,000 kilometres absolutely flat out, just as fast as you can drive the car. It's made to do it. So that, you know, they've got good grip, but the conditions change, particularly on that day. Behind the scenes of the two guys driving the car, there's a huge team of people, 60 odd people at Ford Performance Racing, and they've all made a huge contribution to getting you that result. And they share the celebrations the same as we do, and when you get the losses, they share the hardship.
Sure. Steve, when you're driving these cars and you know that you're going to win, although you can't always say that till you've done your last lap, but when you get that good feeling of the car, the thoughts must go through your mind as to how well the team has prepped the car.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the fact that you're standing on the top step of the podium means that the whole team have done a really good job.
Steve, it's been wonderful catching up with you, mate. Thank you for travelling from Melbourne to Engadine, south of Sydney. It's an honour to meet you. Thanks for being here today, mate.
Pleasure. Thanks, Fletch.
The cops and rodders, we've got to have a rod on the show. You've got a rodded out truck here. That's rodded, not rotted.
That's right.
Beautiful girl, mate. What have you done to it?
It's got a 350 Chev, Celica 5-speed and a 9-inch Ford in the rear end.
Mick, the Celica 5-speed, have to make a comment on that. It's something that you don't hear much of these days. It used to be the go back in the 80s, wasn't it? The go was to put a 5-speed Celica box in. What sort of diff gear ratio are you running?
Running the 3.5 in it.
That's the beauty of both worlds, isn't it? You've got overdrive, 3.5, good off the line, into fifth of the highway. It's a real good combo.
Yep, and I've still got plenty of power if I just want to knock it back into fourth and step on it. So it's good for cruising. I get good mileage out of it and good economy.
So Mick, what have you done to the engine?
Basically stock. I've got an air gap Edelbrock manifold on it, the HPC headers on it, block huggers, and twin dual Frave Strombergs on it, 97s.
Okay. Body-wise, mate, what can you tell us history?
Body-wise, it was imported from New Zealand about 6 years ago, and then customised the internals. I got changed all the gauges to classic instruments.
Isn't it interesting to hear the history of these vehicles? I mean, in this case here, all the way from New Zealand over here to Australia, you've got a hold of it, it's customised, you've rodded the thing out. I mean, all the years and the work that it would have done in New Zealand, who would have ever thought it would end up here looking like this?
That's correct, yeah. I've get a lot of comments on it, and brings a lot of smiles to a lot of people, and it's a lot of fun to drive.
Absolutely. Well, Mick, on that note, thank you very much for turning up here at Engadine. Good on you, Mick.
Okay, thanks, Fletch.
No worries, mate.
Thanks.
Good on you. Keep up the good work with your truck.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I hope you've really enjoyed just some of the 2013 Sutho Cops and Rodders on this week's episode of Classic Restos, and I'm sure you'll agree that Dave Hayes and his team do a sensational job. Now, classicrestos.com.au is the website that you need for the DVD boxed sets of the show, along with other Classic Restos merchandise. How about picturing yourself travelling to the United States of America in 2014 on a Fletch tour? And to find out more from my major sponsors, go to classicrestos.com.au. So for me now, I have to G-all. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like Classic Restos on Facebook. Facebook.com/Classic Restos TV. And episodes can be seen at Shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, National Parts Depot and Penrite Oil.